The league started in 3.27 in SSF on Lightning Conduit Spellslinger. The basic idea of the build was to trigger Lightning Conduit along with a spell that allowed me to put a greater shock on the target than you would normally be able to with Orb of Storms. Then use Elementalist Shaper of Storms node and a bunch of non-damaging elemental ailment scaling to reach high shocks on the target, getting back some of the damage loss incurred by triggering the spell that really doesn't like getting triggered. My overall impression of the league starter version of the build was pretty mild. It worked, but it was unspectacular. My plan was then to roll a different build on SSF, but GGG had their own plans, and with 0.4 fast approaching, I realized I won't have enough time to do anything on SSF, and ended up migrating and playing SC Trade for the first time in years. And with SC Trade come a bunch of currency and access to items I wouldn't otherwise have. And despite looking over Foulborn uniques over and over again, I just could not find any build concept that interested me enough. So I ended up simply upgrading this mediocre build I was started with. The most immediate item that massively improved the SSF version was Ashes of the Stars. Crackling Lines of Disintegration, which is my shock delivery skill, has maximum shock as quality. So by using Ashes, and later on also socketing a level 4 enhance with it, I can get maximum shocks up to 113%, significantly boosting the damage of Lightning Conduit, which itself has a pretty good scaling with quality. Also, since this is Elementalist, I'm using support golems, and their buffs also scale with quality. This makes Ashes really difficult to beat in the amulet slot. Next thing that needed addressing is the massive trigger cooldown of the Lightning's Conduit. CDR is a pretty rare stat in the game, and getting a ton of it is often quite inconvenient. But with the addition of Bound by Destiny, I can get up to 20% CDR on a jewel, along with a power charge and 10% fizz taken as long as I can fit a bunch of influence gear on my character. For boots and a belt, Shaper and Crusader were a no-brainer, since these slots have more of that sweet CTR. Rings could relatively painlessly be made into Crusader Warlord, even getting a couple of crit mods as a bonus. The gloves are a common and the only chanceable unique on that base. Thank the Innocence for chancing Benchcraft. That leaves me with one more slot that needed to be Crusader Warlord. Ideally it would be a wand or the shield, since that way I won't be sacrificing Eldritch Implices on the helmet or body armor. But I found that crafting double influence wand or especially the shield would be extraordinarily difficult, so I ended up settling on the helmet, even though I don't have any influence mods on it. With that, the final piece of the puzzle was adding one more power charge via Discipline Sublime Vision, because Discipline is the only aura I can run anyway. And going for Inner Conviction Keystone, granted by Militant Faith, converted by Dominus. The jewel also helps to get some extra bit of non-elemental damage in effect that I needed, and some resistances. With no frenzy charges due to Inner Conviction, there was no longer need for frenzy with power charge on crit setup, and I swapped to just Power Siphon. Just like in the League Start version, attack speed of Power Siphon can be tuned to exactly twice the trigger rate, linking it to faster attacks with specific levels. I also dropped the Mana Leash nodes on the tree for Mana Leash support, but to be honest, I don't think that Mana Leash part of the class is working all that well. Something else is needed to make sure I'm actually getting that bonus. So, after spending about 200 divines, what's the verdict on the build? Well, it's similar to what I said about the League Start version. It works, I reached level 99, I can do tier 16.5s and tier 17s, and I even did Feared and a couple of Ubers. But it's not particularly fast, it doesn't do massive amounts of damage, and it's not amazingly tanky either. It's pretty much the definition of mid. Nothing great, nothing terrible. You can certainly find something better for investment. But hey, if you get bogged down by always looking for the best thing out there, you will never experiment with interesting build concepts. And That's like 80% of the fun of PoE, for me at least. There are a couple of reasonable upgrades I can still make for the build. The one I'm running around with I grew from the tree back in SSF, but funnily enough it's not for the lack of trying to upgrade it that I still using it. I looked for some really good ones with +2 and spell damage, and they miraculously were not damage upgrades according to POP. I was racking my brain trying to figure out why POP likes this one so much, and turns out that with Spellslinger, especially when scaling its quality, that added 1 to damage actually outperforms plus gem levels. This was a surprising discovery and gives me some ideas for future Spellslinger builds, but I'll have to wait for future leaks. As it is, the way to upgrade this wand would be to buy a fractured +1 to all spells, then roll +1 to lightning with the Essence of Wrath, then get similar suffixes with crit rerolls and Veiled Mod, which is really expensive and not that much of an upgrade, unless I get some really lucky hits, so I didn't really bother. Another thing I can do is hit the next CDR threshold by perfectly divining CDR on my boots and belt and socketing a 2% CDR habitual, which is about 7%-ish more damage. Past that, upgrading this build would involve going deeper into power charge stacking, and I'm both out of budget and time, and quite frankly not that interested. So with that, Keeper's League is cut a bit short, and I'm going to finish some challenges and start testing some ideas I have for 0.4. See you then.
Give your soul to me. Your soul burns for me. Give your soul to me. Your soul burns for me. Kulamak, arise, my king. Feed, mortal. Darkness falls. Feel death's grip. Give your soul to me. Your soul burns for me. Give your soul to me. Your soul burns for me. Kulamak, feel death's grip. Arise, my children.
Serious map.
Gift. Father, what are you doing?
Ah, what have you done, foolish girl?
All things said remain. Consumed by fear, we become ourselves at a preordained moment. Fear made her who she is. Rapture of the mind. Wrath. made her who she is. Forgive me. I was not myself.